Good afternoon. If you hear a cat meowing, it's because he's upstairs locked away with his sister. Welcome. Happy Sunday afternoon, everybody. You are at Barbara's Stamp Pad. It's 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on October the 5th. And today we're going to be taking a $1.50 wooden pumpkin that I got from the dollar store. So one of these, I know y'all seen these, and raise your hand if you've ever bought something like this and it's still sitting in a drawer somewhere, or you're like, you saw pictures and you thought it was cute and you're like, I'm going to get one of those and I'm going to do something with it. And then here you are 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you've managed to accumulate some of these. Well, when I saw these, I was feeling a little creative. So I thought, let me go ahead and get one of these. This and a few other of the things I'm working with today, I got from Dollar Tree. So this came from Dollar Tree, but I'm pretty sure you could get something like this in other dollar stores as well. So we're going to take this and I'm going to point the camera down so you can see how we can take something so inexpensive and turn it into a piece where you can either do some fall decor around your house. You can give it as a gift, or just have it be a nice little decor piece around your house. I think I said that already, but anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me flip this camera around, and camera, we want this one, the messy one. All right, so I've got some paper down. I probably can take this away because I don't need that. I really just need to protect my work area that I'm on. But if you missed the close up, let me see if I can bring a little bit more light this way so we can really see what's going on. And let me bring this down a little bit. And I knew those lines were going to show up. I knew it, but let's see if I flip it around, if the lines aren't that bad. All right, we're going to keep it like that. We're going to keep it like that. So this is, even though I still see some lines, I think they'll go away once some of this goes away. But anyway, somewhere around here I had, desk is still an operating mess. This was the tag that came off of it. So you can see this little pumpkin was $1.50. And I got this from Dollar Tree along with some other things. As you can see, it's very, it's the basics, right? Now, what I did do to save some time is I did go ahead and I just lightly painted the back just to give the back some color, just to kind of speed it up a little bit. But we're going to turn this into this. Is that not like a major difference? I mean, look at that. Oh my goodness. This is something I would put in my house. Of course, I designed it, so I know exactly what I wanted to do with this. And of course, if you have a theme or certain colors in your house, you can totally make this whatever you want it to be. And you're able to use up even scraps that you might have laying around in your craft room between ribbons and any kind of embellishments or anything like that. So we're going to turn this into this. So bear with me because we do have to do a couple of things. And what I'm going to do with first is I'm going to take this ribbon off because that is pitiful. We don't want that. And they do have a little bit of glue right here. So you can opt to remove that. I don't know. You might use undo. You might be able to use your heat gun and heat it up a little bit where it'll just peel off. You can do that. We're going to take this off because this is usable, but we're not going to use it for this because I want a longer piece in order to work with the second one. Actually, the second one I'm going to do a little differently. This one you can totally hang. So I made it to where you can hang here, we're going to be using a lot your glue gun. So everything is with a glue gun. Yeah, everything is with a glue gun. And so this one is designed to hang, which are the pictures that'll be on my blog site. The one that we're going to do today, this is going to be made with an acrylic stand. We're going to put this on the back, and the cat's meowing. I don't know if y'all can hear that. We're going to end up gluing this on the back so that when it's done, you have something that you can put on your table and it just sits like that. Okay. So that'll be the last part that we do. So you've got a couple of different options. The first thing I'm going to do is I got to take these off. Okay. This adds dimension to the project, and that would be great. But what I'm putting on top of it, which is going to be one of these self-adhesive wall tiles, and I got this from Dollar Tree as well. This was $1.25. It's a big 12 by 12 piece, and it's enough to cover this entire pumpkin. Okay, you see that? And I tried to get it to where this was in the center when I did it. So if you leave these on, you're going to have that gap between. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. I wanted it to be flat. So in order to accomplish that, I had to get my little tool out. So bear with me here. You got to be able to get underneath this. And I had the hardest time. I probably should have done some of them already, but you can get my little flat tool, and I'm just going to pop these off. Okay. You might hear some crackling of the wood, and that's okay. I need this leverage. There we go. And that's okay. That little bit is okay. I'm not going to try to get that off. But save these, okay? Save these, because if you decide to take this pumpkin and you want to use pattern paper or designer series paper in order to decorate it, these are great templates, okay? So hold on to those. They're also a great way in order to, if you need a paint swatch and you need some scraps, you can use it to kind of figure out what color you want. Okay, so now I'm going to try to tackle. You got to get up underneath there, and then once you get it underneath there, if you're really rough or have a heavy hand, I don't have a heavy hand, so I'm not anticipating breaking this, which I hope I don't either way, because this is the only other pumpkin that I have since I did a sample already. See if I can get it under this back side. This is the most labor intensive part to this. I might have to just continue over here. And it's cracking over here, but that's okay. It's a surface crack. It's not anything major. Seriously. Okay, kind of cracked in half down here, but that's okay. That is okay. We got to get this off. Okay, and you can see some of that starting to crack. So I guess it depends on how much glue they put on here. This one looks like it's going to be rather rough, but that's okay. We can take some, it's going to get covered. Let's just say that, right? It's going to get covered. But if you really want that to stick down, you can just throw some hot glue underneath that and just kind of smooth it back down. But it's okay that that happened. Now, if this completely cracked in half, then we would have an issue, right? All right, so the last one, got to get up in there. And this one's probably definitely going to break on me. Let's try this other side. I think we have better luck grabbing onto this other side. Getting up underneath there. There we go. I don't think, I'm kind of broken in half, but it's okay. Got a little bit left, and then we can start it. But this is the most labor intensive part, is taking these pieces off. And you've got a piece right there that's too high for me. Now, some of these broke, which is okay. I'm going to keep the good ones, but I'm still going to keep the little scraps in case I wanted to use them for like testing some paint colors. So I'm going to put these off to the side, but definitely if they come off in one piece, these are great templates if you're using pattern paper and you want to be able to trace your pattern paper. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, let me tap that off, is it's kind of messy, but I went ahead and did the back. We're going to go ahead and paint the front, but just around the edges. Okay, and we did that so that when you're done with your finished one, you can kind of see on the side, you can't see any of the white board over here. Okay, so we can do that. And then while that is drying, we can do some other things, right? Okay, so let's just put paint around the edge. Nobody's going to see that anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and do the stem up here, even though we're going to cover that with some hemp cord. Now, I looked for the thickest hemp cord that I had and used that, but like a really heavy cord, if that's all you have, that'll work as well. All right. Okay, so let's finish getting this painted so this little area can dry, and then we're going to start on the other part that needs to be painted. Let me do this. Let me try to squeeze in some glue behind here to help hold that down. There we go. We'll do that. All right, so let's finish painting around the edge. Think of all the other wooden projects that they have a bunch of other different kinds at the dollar store that you can do. So I'm just here to show you what I did with mine and then to give you a little inspiration so we can get some of those projects. Fall has already started here in Texas, which y'all know that means absolutely nothing because it is still in the 90s. It is still in the 90s. That one's loose. Let's take that one off. That's going to get covered anyway. But I'm willing it. I'm ready for some 70s and 80s. And of course, you know, with cooler weather, you're going to need some stuff to do inside when you're inside your house. So keep you busy, keep you crafty. I just have my brushes in a plastic envelope so that they don't dry out. So this, I'm going to set off to the side so that can dry. And then I'm going to get another one here. Let's get another one. And then we're going to take our self-adhesive wall tile and we're going to get this open. So let's open this. This is a great alternative to using cardstock because this is already embossed. And depending on where you get this self-stick stuff will depend on the design that you have available to you and what the embossing will feel like and the material. Okay, this is self-stick. So generally, if you were using this on something else, you would just peel this off and this back part is sticky, right? But I want to do my own because I want to be able to adjust it as I need to. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the sticky part off. And the only way to do that is we need to cut along the edge on both of these. You will see why. These edges is what helps hold the sticky. So we're going to trim off that side and then we'll just go to the other side and do the same thing over here. I hope y'all are doing fine wherever you're at. It's a nice warm day over here in San Antonio. I was looking forward to showing you guys this, and you can just throw those away. Now, as far as taking it apart, when you flip it over and you take one corner, you see how this part stays with the outside. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off. And then the back isn't sticky anymore because the sticky stuck to the outside packaging. Okay. So I just threw mine away. You don't need it. Okay. I have other adhesives that we can use. Now, what I'm going to do now is you're going to need, let's see if I can find mine. You're going to need some kind of a tracing Sharpie, something. I'm going to trace from the back. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab, probably should have done this first, but that's okay. This is still dry. We're going to take our pumpkin and put it in the middle. We're going to try our best to put it in the middle because there's no way to see through this. And I want this designer piece to be in the middle of the pumpkin. Okay. So we're just going to do that and take our Sharpie and we are going to trace. We're going to trace around the edge. And we want to trace on the peeling stick. Try to get as best as we can. Go all the way around. Follow your pumpkin, which you can still do the top, but we're going to end up cutting off the top. Okay. Because that's going to get covered and I've already painted it. So we don't want that. And then now you have your outline of your pumpkin. Put that back over there so it can dry. And then now we're just going to take some paper scissors, any kind of all-purpose scissors that you have, and we're going to cut this all along the edge of the pumpkin that we just traced. Now, I will tell you that once we get it on the pumpkin, there is probably going to be a few areas where we'll have to trim it. Now, this one, I'm going to cut that part off because we've already painted that and we're going to end up covering it up with our hemp cord. So we're just tracing the rest of this pumpkin, but we'll have to do some trimming after we get this on there. Okay. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint this. It can be any color. You can leave it the finish it is. This is plastic, by the way. This is plastic. So that's why it's really easy to cut. This is plastic. But depending on if you use something from like Home Depot or Lowe's or some other place, will depend on the material. But this is just a simple craft, paper craft type project. So I'm glad that it's cheap, but we're gonna make it not look cheap, right? Okay, and this we can just throw away. That is complete scrap unless you have something else that you want to do with it. And that's the top and this is the bottom, and I did my best to get that in the middle. And I've got my little disposable, put some fresh paint in there. Even though it was covered up all night long, I want to make sure. Okay, and then I've got my bigger brush, and we're just going to take this paint and we are going to literally paint. We're going to paint this. Okay. This is a matte paint, and this one is called, I looked to see where I got this. This is Apple Barrel, and it's acrylic paint, and the color is called Plaid. And I put this as a supply on my blog. I'm going to post the blog once we're done with the live. I looked on Michael's, and there's a bunch of other colors, but I don't see this one. And so I'm like, I don't know if Apple Barrel discontinued this color or what, but this is a great way. I know a lot of y'all probably have, various paints. Or if you like the colors, I didn't care too much for any of the colors that were at the dollar store. They were more brights, and I needed more toned down fall colors, and none of them were appealing to me, right? Sometimes you're very limited at the dollar store with whatever they have. But this was all Dollar Tree, so you can get these very inexpensive. On my blog, I listed out what I spent, and it was either $825 or $875, and then it'll be plus tax, of course, that I spent on between the pumpkin, this peel and stick, and then a few of the ribbons. But I really didn't have to get ribbon. I just wanted to make sure that I did have what I wanted to finish the project, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting everything you think you need, and then you get home and you go to look and you're like, oh, I don't have that, right? That's frustrating. Just paint this. It takes a while because you're getting around all this embossing, and then you can go back, and if there's any spots that you missed, we'll go back and fill in the best way we can. But you can do a once over and see what all gets taken off the brush the first time. And like I said, this can be any color depending on whatever project you're working on. It can be any finish as well. And so if you've got some spray paint, I would recommend taking this outside, right? And spray painting it and letting it dry really, really, really good. We're actually going to do some painting on this twice. We're going to paint the whole front of this pumpkin, and then we're going to smear a little bit of some darker brown to kind of give it a distressed look. Okay. Honestly, I think spray painting might go a lot quicker. And I actually had some oil, what is it, the bronzed oil that we could have used, but I didn't want to have to take y'all outside. But I guess I could have just bought an extra one of these. Actually, I did buy an extra one of these, come to think about it, because I wanted to make sure in case I messed up that I had backup. And I didn't mess up, so that was good. But the painting is the only thing that takes a little bit. But I said you can do some other things while you're waiting on this to dry, or like me, if you have a blow dryer on like low heat, that'll speed up the process a little bit. Okay, so probably going to get some paint on me. Let's go back where you can see some of these areas dried, and we're going to kind of fill in where it looks like it needs some. But once this dries, it's going to dry a little bit clear, and then we'll be able to give it that distressed look, unless you have another product that you can spray on that automatically gives it a distressed look without having to sand things down. Or crackled look would look really good with this. And originally I wanted to do some dry embossing, but none of the embossing folders that I had, none of them are larger than 6x6. So it just wouldn't have looked. But you can also, if you have a small enough project, you can also just use some cardstock and emboss with your embossing folder. That way, if there's a favorite embossing folder that you have, you can use that to get the design that you want on your project. Okay. I think that's good enough. That is good enough. And we're going to set this off to the side and let it dry. Let me get well, it fell on the floor. Hold on. Let's do that. So I got that set off to the side. And let me go ahead and put this away because I don't need that. It's my little disposable paint cup. Let's get that out of the way. Let's put this away so that can dry. And then now what we can work on is we can mess with this, which is the little arrangement that I got. And this is, it says oak with acorn. That's it. So I've got my little tin snips so that I can snip these down. I don't want them to be too long, and it even includes this pretty acorn. So we're gonna, well, this is good hand therapy for me too, by the way. So you need some hand therapy. You can get it, you can accomplish that by doing some crafting, making something pretty. Okay. And then this, we're just going to throw that away. So I have all my pieces right here. We're going to go ahead and make some bows. And the first one I want to make a bow with is, this is one of the ribbons that I got. Let's pull this down a little bit. This is one of the ribbons that I got at the dollar store. And this one's just literally lace ribbon. It don't get any easier than that, right? But on this one, there's only 3 feet, 3.28 feet, which comes out to be like, what, 3.25 feet. So you got plenty of ribbon, and I chose this because it was pretty, right? But if you have another kind of ribbon laying around, that's at least, this is what, like an inch? I think that's like an inch. You can work with that. And we're going to make some ribbons, some bows with ribbon. I guess I should say that. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me start in the middle. You make bows however you make bows. We all do them differently. But I want this base of the bow to be pretty big, because we're going to be putting other bows on top of them. And then I'm going to pull these down and try to get them down to size a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to fluff those up, and I'm going to trim these down later. So I'm glad it was only like 3 feet, because it gives you some room to make whatever size bow you want. We're going to fluff those up once we get them on there, and then you can trim the edges. So that's going to be number 1. And then the second one that I bought, and I thought this was only going to be 3 feet in it, but it wasn't. It was a lace ribbon, but this one has 9 feet in it. So I could have gotten away with just buying one, but I actually have an extra one to use for maybe like another project. Okay. So on this one, we're just going to, I didn't measure the first one. I just decided to make another bow. Okay, and then when I was happy with that, then I just take my ribbon, scissors, and cut that away from the spool. And then we're going to play with that one. That one doesn't look too bad. Okay, other than this side over here, but I think I can make this one a little bit bigger. I don't know. You can play with your bows. Actually, this left side needs to be a little smaller. All right, we're just going to go with that. Bow number 2. And then earlier I had somebody stop by, and I told her I wasn't sure where this bow came from. I don't know if it's a scrap of Stampin' Up! Bow that I had, but it's very possible that's possible. Or I know that when y'all buy certain things, and like, what was the last thing I bought? It was a comforter upstairs. I bought, and it was tied together with a really pretty bow. And I was like, that's a pretty bow. And it was a lot. So it's very possible that this came off of something that I bought. And so it's a nice bow. And if it's nice enough, it ends up going with my scraps of bows so that I can use them on projects. So these always come in handy. So let me just, I know that's not the best bow. I'm not the best bow maker. I mean, I know how to make them, but oh, let's do this. But sometimes they just don't look right. Right? All right, I'm going to leave that at that, and then let me trim this side so I can got something to work with here. That's not pretty, but I didn't intend for it to be pretty when I cut it. Okay, so we got all our bows, we got all our little pieces here, and then let me grab another piece of paper so that I can start putting some stuff together. Got my glue gun, so make sure you got your glue gun. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring this back because that's already dry. And then I'm hoping that this other piece, oh, that's not dry. It's still, this one's still wet a little bit in several spots. So let me do this. Let me do this. I got my heat gun right here, but I'm not going to heat it up. I'm just going to try to give it a little bit of, hold it up high just to give it some air. I think I know why it didn't dry as quick as that did the first time that I did the other one. And that's because my fan isn't on. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let me go put this over here in front of the fan. I got to turn the fan on first. All right, so I've got some air blowing on that over here behind me. I hope it doesn't fall on the floor. So what I can do in the meantime is we're going to wrap this part up here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to, let me figure out, we'll use this one. I think I have, let's see. Let me see. I've got another one over here, but I don't know that that's enough. Oh, it might be. Let's use this one instead. We're going to use this particular hemp cord right here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cut I'm going to cut a 12-inch piece. $12 inches. I'm going to make this one where you can hang it or you can put it on the acrylic photo holder. Okay. So this piece right here, it will shape once you start to hang it. Okay. So what we're going to do on this one is we need to put this through this hole here at the top. Okay. So let's fish that through this hole. And then, oops, excuse me, when we pull this through the back, we need to make a knot. So let me just make a knot this way. I'm going to double knot it. And then we're going to start using our glue gun. Oops, I almost pulled that through. Okay, so you want it to where that knot won't come through. Okay, but we also want to secure this knot because we don't want it moving around. That was my thumb that just popped. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, we're going to use some glue. Okay, so I'm going to pull it down just a little bit, and then we're going to get some hot glue. A little bit right here. And pull that down. And just hold that down on that. Press down into that glue. And then you let it dry. Just let it dry. Thing moved on my mouse. There we go. Just let that dry down straight. Alternatively, you also could glue down each side of this hemp cord right here and right here if you wanted to space out the, which is kind of what I did on my first one. Okay. But I kind of did it backwards. So, but it still worked. Okay. And if you want, you can still do that, but you can do it on the front. That is just holding it on the side. Okay. So if you want to do that, you can do that. And I think I'll just go ahead and do it. Okay. We'll put a little bit right here. and a little bit over here. We can spread that out. That is hot glue, so you got to be careful. If you are watching this and you don't feel safe using hot glue, then don't. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the top to help hold that in place. And I'm going to have to put another stick in here in a minute. This one gets used up. And that'll just help hold it in place. And then we're going to end up covering up this whole front, so you're not going to see any of the glue. Okay, but at least it widens it enough to where you can see. It'll help stabilize it, basically, is what it's going to do. Okay, and then I have the rest of this that I'm going to use, which this was the largest one that I have, and I hope this is enough. If you also had like a really thick rope, you could do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the back, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here in the middle so that I can get started with holding this down. That'll help me here. So we get that down in there where it stays. I need a tool here. Get that down in there. I don't want to touch it with my fingers because I'll be sure to burn it. Okay, so once that dries, that will help so that I can start wrapping this around the base of this pumpkin stem. Okay, and I'm going to tighten it here before I go any further. So that's why I painted the stem. And so you want to try to keep it these little pulls uniform. So just wrap it around. Keep wrapping. That's why I think that if you had a thicker twine or rope, it would probably go a lot faster, this part. Okay. But if all you have is this, you could even do it with ribbon if you have a favorite ribbon. But I like this because it has, this hemp cord has some texture to it. And then we're going to wrap it all the way to the top. We start interfering with this here. That'll help hold it down in place. And you can pull it tight if you need to. And I'm almost out, which is good because this is perfect. And then I'm going to leave it at that because there's no way I can go back around anymore. You see, that's the end of it. So that was perfect. All right, let me take my glue gun and we're going to put some glue right here on the edge so we can seal that down. And I'm going to go along the whole last part of the row there, so it attaches itself to the rest of the hemp cord on the bottom. Okay. There we go. And you're going to let that dry. So let's let that dry. I'll let it dry by itself there. Now you have all these little hot glue strings. And if you want, you can certainly trim these off if you don't like the way that looks, which we can trim it a little bit. Get my snips down in there. Let's see. That just trimmed that down a little bit. So now we have our stem, and then we have it so where we can hang it. And now let me check on this part that dried. Oh, it dried a lot better. It's still wet in a few areas, which is okay. I've got something to work with here. We're going to put this on the front, which let's put this the right way. You can still see the few wet spots where it's deep down in there, but you want to speed it up, just throw it in front of a fan. We're going to hot glue this down I was like, what fell? We're gonna hot glue this down. So let me get another stick because I'm about to run out of hot glue. And we're gonna start at the top. Okay, we're gonna start at the top, and then I'm gonna work my way. I'm gonna work my way down. I'm just gonna put some hot glue along that way, and then put some down the middle, and then I'm out of my stick. So I'm gonna stick in there. Get that going. There we go. And then before that starts to dry, let's put this over. Make sure you've got it. Make sure you've got it on there, and you've got some little bit of time to adjust it. And then once it's in place, completely in place, then you can press that area down where that glue is underneath. You're worried about messing up your nails, wear gloves. But this is just simple acrylic paint, so it's not gonna mess up the finish. Okay. Went a little bit too over there, but it's okay. It is okay. I'm off just a little bit, but not much. Okay, so let's finish putting this down. So we're just going to continue with our glue around the edge. And then let me get some glue over here. Doing a little bit at a time helps so that you can, okay, adjust it if you need to. But once it's down, y'all know it's down. So that's where you want to make sure. And I can feel the heat through this in a few areas. All right. So that is going to finish drying. There are a few spots that kind of rubbed off a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to take our brown paint. So if you have like a brown paint, and then let me get my brown paintbrush. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take lightly, like very lightly. I put a little bit on my brush, and then I took the excess off. We're just going to literally, and you can use a light brush strokes. I'm going to try to go over the areas where the paint came off. You can use a sponge if that's all you have, and then just be random about it. Okay, we're just kind of, you almost don't have to dip it in the paint. And then this area up here, I'm not going to focus too much on because this is going to get covered up with all of our bows. But like down here, all these raised areas, you can go over, and I'm just using the excess that was on my brush and kind of lightly stroking over in order to get some of the paint residue that's off this brush onto this embossed area. Look at that. Isn't that cool? That's cool. All right, and you can do it as much as you want or as much as you need. Remember, this is your project. And then I'm going to put that away because I don't need this brush anymore. And then once I'm done with that, I'll be able to go wash those brushes. And it doesn't take a whole lot of paint. You could even, if you have like a ink, excuse me, like an ink pad, you can take a little bit on and put it on a sponge. Take a sponge or a dauber and daub it, or just scrape it over. If you need a little bit more distress to this, you can also take a sanding sponge and just lightly go over it. But if you do it too hard, I'm just doing it real light, but if you do it too hard, you risk taking the paint off because you are painting on this plastic. And I don't know if you can see that. Where is it? It's right there. Because I just did that, but it's all part of the distressing. If you're really worried about that, then just go back over it with your brush. But I don't seem to mind that. That don't look half bad. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Now we need to layer up on our little designer piece right here. We're going to layer this up. And what I started with first is the leaves, the basic leaves. And you can do these any way you want. I don't know if something was supposed to be on there, but if it was, it's not. So I just went with it. And you can leave them flat, or if you need some dimension to it, you're able to bend these because it has the wire in there. And then how we're going to do that is we're going to see how much where we need to put these, and then we're going to use our glue gun and stick these in place. So we're going to start right here. You want to put enough to where this will stick down on there and just kind of hold it in place. If you have another tool, where did my tool go? Y'all can see my desk. You can help put some of that glue over the top of it before it completely dries, and that'll help hold it in place. And then we're going to do this side over here. Same thing. Let's bend this a little bit so it's not so flat and gives it some dimension. And then I'm going to fold over some glue. I'll be able to take that off later. And then just hold those in place. And the next one we're going to do are these little parts that have these little holly, whatever you want to call them. Some are colored and some are white, which is good because it helps with the color palette on here. And we've got 2 of them. So we're going to literally put this on top of that one. And I didn't cut that enough to really, but there we go, to do the base. We're going to stick this one on top right there. If you need to shape these, you can shape them before, or you can kind of shape them once you're done. Okay. So we're just kind of building the back here. And then now we're going to put this one over here, kind of at an angle. So we bend that one. Put some glue right there. And you want to balance out all of this little floral arrangement. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put this on last, because I'm going to shove this up underneath our ribbons. And so that'll go on last. Now I do have some leaves that I'm going to use, and I've pre-selected some leaves. And we're going to put these down with, you guessed it, hot glue. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there. These don't require much, and you can be creative as far as, you know, where you want them to stick out of. Okay, so that is down. Loving the hot glue. I don't think I intended for that one, but over here. Okay, so let's get some glue back over here. And let's stick this one down. That way it helps cover up the base where this meets the stem. Gives it a little decoration there. And then let me pull, I don't like that color, but I do want a small leaf. So I think these leaves I got, it was like a whole package of these. These were left over from the fall folio project last year. So there's different kinds of leaves, like maple leaves and just regular free leaves. Let's use that one. I like that one. And then we'll use that one too. Okay, and we're going to put this one, we're going to stick back here so that it comes out between those two. Okay, so let's get some glue right here. I'm going to fill this spot up. Press that down. Ooh, hot glue got on my finger. So that's pressed down. And this one, we're going to put right here. Okay, so let's get some glue right there. And stick that one right there. Look at that. It's coming together, y'all. It's really coming together. Okay, so all of that is drying. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to start layering all of our bows that we made. Okay, and we're going to start with the big one. Now remember this one. This one's a little bit more manageable because the fabric itself, you know, you can train it a little bit. We are going to stick this right in the middle, and you guessed it, we're going to put this down with some glue. So let's get some glue because we want a good base for this to stick on. And let's get that right in the middle, and you press that middle part down on that glue. And at this point you can start to shape it. We're going to need to shape it anyway as we start layering the other bows on top of this. And you can leave these until we're done so that you know how much you want to trim off of the little tails here. The next one is the lacy one. We've got this one, and that bow's a little bit too big for me, so we're going to pull the tails until we get the loops to be, there we go. I like that one. That one looks a little better. Okay, and then we're going to put some glue on top of this. So we can stick this one on top. And same thing, just press that middle part down. Okay, leave these tails alone. And then the last one is this one. And let me make these a little bit smaller. I knew I was going to have to probably adjust these. And this one I like because this one is very impressionable. Like as far as you can really fluff this one up, which is nice because that's the one that's going to be on top. Okay, so let's get some glue on the top of this lace right there in the middle so that we can press this little fella down. You got three here. And then also there's another one that I'm using. Forgot to show y'all. This one I know I got from Michael's, and I liked it because it has that color in it, and it's also got some little burlap in there. And we're going to take a couple of these pieces. I'm going to take, I don't know, about 1.5 inch, I guess. I'm going to take 2 of them. I want 2 of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ends, I'm going to fold these, and I am going to cut it at an angle so that I can get a little banner edge. So I'm just folding it in half and then cutting it at an angle so that you get a nice clean and even banner. And we're going to stick those right up under here. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of glue. Let me move these out of the way so I don't get any glue on those. I'm going to stick some glue at the base down in there. And then these are going to go one that way, and then the other one right next to it going the opposite direction. And you're going to get glue on you once it seeps through. And that way you got a couple of really pretty ribbons peeking out from the bottom there, and that'll help fill up that space. Okay, and then when you bring all these down, then you're able to determine how you want to cut those. But the last thing that we have is we have our acorn, right? Our little embellishment with the acorn. It's kind of cute. This is going to slide up underneath the ribbons and just kind of hang out. I can find a spot that's not glued down. There we go. It's not glued down, so that tells me I need to put some glue way back up in here. So let's move these out of the way and stick some glue right in there so that this stem can rest up in there. And I'm going to bend it a little bit. There we go. Make sure it sets in there. What do y'all think so far? I am not even looking at the comments. So if you were watching me or you joined me late, welcome. I'm heads down trying to make this pretty, y'all. All right, I think that's dry. It's still drying. Let me put a little bit of glue on top of it as well. Kind of put that there. We're almost out of that stick of glue already. I would guess that you would probably end up using 2 sticks of glue. So make sure you have enough glue. I would only use hot glue just because you know it's going to set. If you use any other kind of adhesive, you risk it you risk something falling off, All right, let's trim these up. I think it's pretty like that, but we're going to trim these up and then we're going to work on the back. We're going to put that acrylic thing on the back. Okay. This one, I'm going to do it right here. Just going to make a kind of a side cut there, and then we'll do the opposite one with this one. And then if I need to trim it a little more, and then of course, you can use scraps. Don't throw your scraps away. Because let's say instead of that ribbon, you wanted to use the scrap, you can push that up underneath and it looks like it's just part of the ribbon, right? So keep your scraps. This lacy one, I want it to be about midway between those two. So let's do this one this way. Let's mix it up. Okay, so we got that one going that way, and then let's do this one going that way. That way, wherever it falls, it falls. And this one, we will do, let's do a banner on this one. Okay. So what we're going to do, if y'all followed me before, the simple trick to doing a banner cut on the edge, whether it's paper or it's ribbon, whatever it is, what you want to do is take, in this case, it's ribbon. We're going to fold it in half. Now, you got to get the angle right? Because if you cut it this way, then you have an opposite banner. Okay, you have more like like the end of an arrow. So you got to make sure you get your angle cut right. And in this case, the way I'm holding it, we're going to cut it this way because we want on both ends, we want the banner cut. So when we cut it at an angle that way, then you have a nice clean banner cut. Okay, so let's do the other one. Let's fold it. And this does make a difference depending on the angle that you're cutting it. Okay, and on this one, you got to go this way. Sometimes I have to stop and think about it myself, y'all. Let me show y'all with a piece. Let me cut a small piece off of this other one so you can see. This is just a scrap piece. So if you fold it and you cut it and in your mind, you're thinking it goes one way. Well, you're like, I'm about to do a banner cut. And you cut it and you're like, oh no, I cut it wrong. Well, look what happens. You just did the end of that. So if you want that, then go for it. But if you don't want that and you want actually a banner cut, you have to stop and think about your ends need to be larger than your inside where it's fold. So you want to make sure you cut it at that angle in order to get your banner cut. That was a bad banner cut, but you get it, right? That's why you don't cut too much off at the beginning so that you don't mess it up. Now at this point, all of these they're down. Okay, you can fluff them up, pull them where you can see a little bit more, whatever you want to do. Okay, just fluff them up. If you have some kind of spray that'll help hold these in place, you can spray that as well. And that is the front. That's the front. Now, I went ahead and I took it to where you can hang it. If you don't want to hang it, then what you can do is you can not use this loop. So for now, I'm just going to bring this back and I'm going to use, what can I use? I don't even know if I have tape. I think I have some tape. I do. I'm going to use some tape to help hold that down. Let's hold this down back here. Okay. That way, if you want to hang it, you've got the option to hang it. But if you don't, then you still can see the pretty part up front. You see these, but that's okay. You can push those along the back if you need to. Okay, so now what I want to do with this one is I'm going to take this acrylic. I only have this size, which is like a 4x6. But I know you can get these also in a vertical format. So the ones all I have are the landscape ones, and these are just like those acrylic picture frames that you can slide something down into. I don't think there's anything on here that I need to peel off. Sometimes there is, but I don't think you need to on that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one on the back, okay? But we need to be able to gauge where it's going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, and I'm out. I need another stick. We're going to put glue on the back of this, but you have to work quickly, y'all. You got to work quickly. Let's get some glue. I would try to be pretty about it, I guess you can say. But if you're worried about it looking messy, I have a trick for you here. Okay, so we want to get that on there, but like I said, you got to work quick because y'all know that glue. And then we're going to set this down and press up against it. And I'm gonna flip this over so you can see how it's spreading out along the back. And you want to make sure it's straight as well. That's why I had it down. Give that time to set. And if you're concerned about seeing the glue right here, what you can do is you can take like a piece of, I'm just going to take this piece. This is for something else. You can take a piece of cardstock or, well, cardstock is the only thing that's really going to fit through here. Cut it to size, cut it to 4x6. This is for something else, so it's not to size, but you can cut a piece. This will give you the opportunity to write a little message on the back. If you have a personalized stamp, you can stamp your personalized stamp on the back, to, from, whatever you want to do. And then what you can do is you can slide it in. Once we get it in there, you can slide it in. It's a picture frame, y'all. Y'all know what I mean. I'm trying to get that in there, but my fingers are not working properly. Let's see if we can slide that in. Oh, I think this is cut more. You got to get it in between there. I think y'all see what I'm trying to do here. It needs to be cut down a little bit. That's why it's not going in. But you can technically slide something back here, and that'll help cover that up and give you the opportunity to write something on the back. I think y'all know what I mean. I'll cut a different piece and stamp it with my stamp, and then I'll make sure I add that picture to the blog. But that is the back of it. And so now, let me bring this up a little bit. You'll probably see some of my mess over here. You do have the option to, if you wanted to, there's a couple of things you can do to help really dress this up if you want to. Not only can you add some pearls to it, you can be strategic with where you want to put some accessories. This is a large enough area where if you wanted to mat a picture, and I'm going to do this, my intention was to do it so I could show you here, but I completely forgot and I ran off and did some other things. But if you have a photo mat of some kind, you can literally, this is large enough for even like a 4x4 type photo. A nice square photo would go really, really pretty right there. And I am going to do one, and I'll add some more pictures to my blog once I post it. So when I get off this live, I'm going to do it so that you can have some more ideas on using this space right here. If you have another wooden project that says gather together or some fall kind of sentiment, you can completely add it right here. So picture, you can leave this alone. Picture another sentiment of some kind if you want it to either be down here, or if you want to tie it down here where it kind of hangs down, whatever. Get creative. I know y'all have a lot of different scraps of different kinds of accessories and things like that. So let me show you. You've got this one over here. I'm going to bring this back. Let's see. Let's bring this back and let me do this number. Let's do this number. I'm trying to bring it back so y'all can see both of them at the same time. I'm not going to get on camera, so I'm going to have to leave this. Let's bring this up front a little bit. I'm trying, y'all. Hold on. I'm getting there. We're getting there. All right. So this one that we did today, this one is on an acrylic backing so that you can put this as a table piece. You want to be able to look at it on your coffee table or on a shelf. You can certainly do that. Or you've got the first one that I did, which is completely hanging. There's nothing on the back. All I did was I painted it just so it wouldn't look so unfinished on the back. And you have that one. Okay. So there's options. And then, of course, I gave you some ideas as far as you can throw pictures on here. You could add a sentiment. Of course, now you have to fish all the little, that's not very stable, but it still works. I think once you, because it's top heavy up here, but it still works. I think if you put something down here, it'll help kind of offset it wanting to go back. Okay. It's just because it's top heavy. So I guess I would recommend to add something down here. Or just make sure you, like me, you don't have cats that want to knock over everything. Otherwise, you'll be constantly picking this up. But play with your ribbon. Get different textures. You can fluff it up at the end. If you're worried about the ribbon kind of falling down after time, there is a hardening spray that you can get, and you can spray it on there so it'll kind of keep it in place. But that is that's how you go from $1.50 wooden pumpkin to something that you want to hang in your house. You have a nice gift you can gift to somebody. So, and it almost doesn't even have to be fall. If this was some other kind of wooden project, you could do something very easy with that. But I'm loving the colors. I'm loving the textures. I'm loving that you can do so much with these This was $1.25. This one was $1.25. And it's just a self-adhesive wall tile. And if you missed the first part of the video, you can go back and watch that part when I was messing with the tile and then painting it. Although I will say, spray paint would have probably gone a lot faster, and it probably would have dried a lot. But if all you have is acrylic paint, it'll work. You see, it'll work. You just can't be rough with it because it will eventually come off. It was plastic that we were painting on. But I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope it gives you some inspiration to go and finish those projects that we all have in our craft room, sitting in a bin or some kind of a box that's that needs to be finished. So but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to inspire you. It keeps me inspired as well. So I've got to say that. Plus, it helps to be able to use up other things that you have in your craft room. And then what you end up with is something pretty. Something pretty. You've put some things together and made you something. Finished your project. And when I get off this live, I am going to go make the attachment to put on both of these so that you can see them both ways, with or without option for like a picture over here. On this one, I might have to trim the ribbons up a little bit, or I can glue them up to where they're out of the way. I think I might do that instead because I like how the ribbons are long like that, but they will get in the way of a picture. At least this big one will. But anyway, y'all have a great day. I am going to post my blog right after the live ends, and then, but I'm going to wait for about an hour so that I can go do that and then post pictures so that I don't have to update it afterwards. But have a great day. wherever you are from. And I'm going to do something real quick because I forgot to add something on here. See if I can find it real quick so we can get off. Y'all can enjoy the rest of your day. There we go. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will see y'all in the next video. And other than that, y'all have a great day. Bye, y'all.